It's Corso and Catone. Brought to you by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Now for the real deal New England feel, Corso and Catone.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. I'm Corso, Catone's here. Joe's with us in the booth, and you're joining us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, 790 The Score. Remember, guys, you can pick that up streaming it, or you can listen 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern every Saturday on the radio. Let's go on the thescore790.com, and you can stream all of our shows. And, hey, give us a call on Heated Hotline, 855-313-PATS. Anything's on the table, leave us a message 24/7, 855-313. What's the number? 7287.
7287.
What the hell? I'm like the Patriots. I'm losing it, you know? And Joe tells us we have a lot of emails to get to, you know, in our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com. Next,
we're gonna have to do that. We'll have to get to some of those next week, because we keep getting emails.
So in Heated Hotline next week, we'll get it. We'll go into the mailbag and pick one out of there. But we got a good one today in Weekly Rewind. There was no game, so we're gonna go back. We're gonna look at the previous drafts, look at the wide receivers, look at the linebackers. Stick around for that, and of course, Catone's comments. You never know what he's gonna come up with, so make sure you tune in there.
Oh, I have a special one today.
I can't even imagine. And we're going to hear from one of you in Heated Hotline. And in Pats Nation, they kick off at 1 p.m. Eastern against the New York Giants over there in New York. We'll preview that game, and we're going to make you some money in Sunday spread. Gentlemen, Thanksgiving.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving is right.
Happy Thanksgiving, yeah.
Hey, now, by the time you all hear this and watch this, Thanksgiving will have come and gone, but we had to record prior to Thanksgiving, you know, because none of our families would allow us to do it on Thursday night, right?
No, of course not. But
plus,
listen,
I think Mark will be passed out after eating turkey and every other thing you're going to stuff your face with, I'm sure.
Listen, yeah, right. You, first of all, last week, you forgot to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. You're getting old, Chris. Old.
Well, because it's weird, you know, because we're recording on day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Look, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. You know what I mean? You know, I hope everybody stuffed their face and everybody feels good and watch football and, you know, great. So happy
Did some Black Friday shopping, because I love going to stores.
Oh, now we're going to have some good stories next week.
Yeah, we'll so stick around. Catone's comments is going to get even more interesting. It always does during the holidays, you know, but I'll tell you what we can't give thanks to. We can't give thanks to the previous drafts of the Patriots, and we need to go back and we need to look at a few choice positions, and we're going to do it in Weekly Rewind right now. Going back through the week, about a Weekly Rewind. So normally, Mark, we would be recapping the previous game, but since they were on a bye, by the way, somebody sent me something the other day, which I thought was really cruel. You know, it basically said bye week 21, Patriots 17. That's mean. Joe, don't you think that's mean? Mean.
I don't know about that.
Anyway, so look, we want to go back. We want to take a look. We've been bitching and complaining about the wide receiver position, the linebacker. And so Mark and I wanted to go back and figure out, how bad is it? How bad was it? You know, what is this guy's problem? Why can't we evaluate talent? And so we want to start on the offensive end, and we want to start with wide receiver. So Mark, break this thing down for us. Go back in time for us. Will you please?
So listen, at the very beginning, I don't necessarily know if Belichick was really as involved in the draft rooms as he became once 06, 07, 08. Like, as the years progressed, he became, and once you hit 10 and 09 and 10 on, Chris, it was fully his draft room. But so I'll go quickly, Chris. In 02, they take Deion Branch and David Givens. So good draft, right? You'd say, okay, those guys were productive. Good draft. Whoa, you got Super Bowl MVP as one of those draft picks, right?
What a
So-
joke.
But when you look closer at those two guys, Chris, I mean, it was really Brady because they left here and they became basically scrubs, right? Then Deion Branch comes back, but they basically were scrubs when they left here. So
Seattle and Tennessee, respectively. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So were they really that good at draft picks? I think we could argue no, right? So now you move ahead to 2003, Chris. They take Bethel Johnson. Remember Bethel Johnson from Texas A&M?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They take him in the second round, Chris. Pick 45 is Bethel Johnson.
Bethel Johnson dropped a pass against the Steelers. He was wide open down the seam, and it went right through his hands, and he dropped the ball. Go ahead.
Okay. Wasn't his claim to fame, Chris? Didn't he run like a kickoff back against Indianapolis one day in the dome? And that's like the only thing he ever did. I think once, all he ever did. But anyway, 9 picks after Johnson gets picked, Chris. The Arizona Cardinals take Anquan Bolden, who becomes like he had like 8,000 yard receiving years, right? 1,000-yard receivers, right? So you don't take Anquan Bolden, you take Bethel Johnson. 04, you take some guy, PK Sam. Who the hell was PK Sam? I don't even know. I think he came out of Missouri, maybe. I don't know. I don't even know where he came out of, Chris. Bum, stiff. Then in 06, they take Chad Jackson. Remember him from Florida? Yeah. Another guy similar to Bethel Johnson. However, to make things worse, Chris, they move up to take Jackson. Okay?
Yeah. Was that like second round?
Yes, he's a second-round pick, 36th pick in the draft. They trade the 52nd pick and the 75th pick to get him to Green Bay. And who do you think Green Bay takes with the 57th pick? Greg Jennings, who becomes Green Bay's #1 receiver for like the next 7 or 8 years. Okay,
Joe, you realize we're going. You think we're real deal New England field. We're talking 17 years ago right now, and we're talking about plays. Go ahead.
Okay, so 07, they traded the pick. I'll call this a wide receiver pick. They trade a pick for Randy Moss. Do you give him credit for that? I'll give him credit. We'll throw it in there, Chris.
Skip over 07. Go to 08.
08, they draft Matthew Slater. Special, okay, but he's not he's a receiver, but and granted, he's been a great special teams player, one of the best special team players in the history of the NFL, Hall of Fame special team player. I'll give that to him, but he's still not a receiver, right?
Right.
Not a receiver. 09, they take Brandon Tate, and they take Julian Edelman. Now, Julian Edelman, Chris, was not drafted to be a wide receiver. I don't care what anybody says.
Look what I found.
I don't care. Anybody says, "Oh, look, Belichick, he was playing chess while everybody was playing checkers. He knew Edelman could develop." No, he didn't. Edelman was drafted to be a special teams player because Belichick, he wastes picks on special teamers, right? So he picked him because he thought he could be a special teams contributor. He was a quarterback. He was fast. He was physical. That's the only reason he took him.
Well, so far in 10 years, I've heard Slater and I've heard Edelman.
Right. But I was going to say, is Brandon Tate, Chris, was the round 3, pick 83, North Carolina. Now, listen, I'm not even reading off a sheet. This is how whacked out I am. I know Brandon Tate came from North Carolina because I'm whacked out, right? So now you wonder why we should be in the draft room. So now, who does Pittsburgh take? They take Mike Wallace, who ends up having like over 8,000 yards and 57 career touchdowns. He gets drafted 1 pick after Tate.
Yeah.
4. Just like Thornton and Pickens. Very sound familiar?
Listen, hold on, wait. You want to talk about Wallace? What makes it worse is that for after he was up or his contract was coming up, we tried to get him over here. The Patriots tried to get Wallace over here like 3 different times where they gave him an offer sheet and Pittsburgh matched it. Yeah. Just draft him then. You should have tried to draft him.
No, we drafted Tate. We drafted Tate instead.
Yeah.
So now in 2010,
mind you, all the guys Mock's mentioning didn't last with the team. They were on the team like 2 years, and that's it.
And listen, and they didn't last with any team. They didn't get picked
no,
up.
They didn't go anywhere. They
Their
never
careers were
fulfilled
over.
their contracts with
They
the
were out of
Patriots.
football. 2010, Chris, in the third round, they take Taylor Price, another stiff. I think he was out of Ohio. Little speed guy out of Ohio, a bust. However, I'm going to give them a pass. I'm going to give them a pass in 10 because that's a draft they took Gronk. So we got to give him. We got to give it to him, right? And then, Chris, this just go. I know I'm taking up a lot of time. This just goes on and on and on, right? And I'll just end it at 18.
Yeah, get to the.
I'll
go
end it.
from
I'll end
18
it
to
at.
now.
I'll end it at 18, Chris.
Just go from
I'll end
18
it at
to now.
18. I'll end it at 18. N'Keal Harry, your boy. You like the pick. That's a good pick. I watched him. He's good.
Stop saying that.
They took him over A.J. Brown. They took him over Deebo Samuel. They took him over Metcalf. They took him over McLaurin. They took him over a half a dozen guys. You could have closed your eyes and threw a dot against a board and got a receiver in that draft. And Belichick took N'Keal Harry.
Because why? Because his buddies out there west said he's a good player.
And by the way, Joe, Chris liked the pick.
No, I didn't like the pick.
Oh,
damn,
revisionist history. Revisionist history.
1924 through 223. For 5 years, Joe, I've been listening to this garbage coming out of him telling me I like the pick. All I said, and I was with him while your son was throwing stuff at the TV, okay? All I said was he had a good year. He had a good year at ASU. He was running by guys over there. So, I mean, that's all I said. I liked A.J. Brown in that draft. Yerk.
Gotta love the real deal.
Listen, Joe, it's called revisionist history. He liked the pick. Now he backed off the pick. I don't want to hear it.
You know what? Every time he's wrong about any other thing, he goes to that. He goes right to N'Keal Harry. Anything. We were talking 2 weeks ago. What were we talking about on the show? We were talking about a player or something that Thornton. That's what we were talking about. Thornton. Oh, I think he could be a player. This is what he says on the air, on recording.
Yeah, I did.
And then as soon as I started calling him, what's he do, Joe? He goes right to who? N'Keal Harry.
Oh, yeah.
Immediately. I'm
what
never going to live it down.
Is what happened in 2007, where did they not learn? Like that was what even though we picked up a guy who's been there, done that.
Yeah.
They didn't learn from that season to
he
go.
He threw 50 touchdowns.
From here on out.
He threw 50 touchdowns. I mean,
Let's get to the defense because I know you want to talk defense now.
So what's the bottom line? No, I mean,
bottom line is his drafts have been horrendous at the wide receiver position and has no clue what he's drafting.
Yeah, I mean, we could have had instead of Thornton, you could have had Pickens. Now I know like Pittsburgh wants to run him out of town. He's got an attitude, whatever. But talent-wise, he's the better player.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you want to go to that I'll start from 18. So because I'm talking about linebackers, the biggest problem I have with this team on defense is the middle linebacker, the off-ball linebacker. They just can't get it right. And I could go back till 2014 with all these, but you're talking about the linebackers they've brought in on this team. It's sickening to me. You're talking about Geno Grissom, Trey Flowers, okay, Matthew Wells. You're talking about Elandon Roberts, Grugar Hill. You're talking Dietrich Wise, Christian Sam, Juwan Bentley, Chase Winovich, Malua, Anthony Jennings, Josh Uche, Cameron McGroon, Ronnie Perkins, Keon White. I mean, this is what they've brought in, okay? So let me just talk about 2018 real quick because that's the one that makes me sick. That whole draft makes me sick. And by the way, just let me run down the list. The picks in 2018 were as follows. Isaiah Wynn, Sony Michel, Duke Dawson, Juwan Bentley, Christian Sam, Braxton Berrios, Danny Etling, Keon Crossan, Ryan Izzo. Not one, other than Bentley, not one guy is on this team. Not one. These are the linebackers that went in 2018. You ready, Mark, for this? The inside off-ball linebackers. Van Der Esch, Tremaine Edmonds.
Oh, by the way, I'll give you credit. You loved Van Der Esch in that draft.
No, those are first-round picks, okay? So
I know that, but
the first three guys were first-round picks. So Tremaine Edmonds, Rashawn Evans, Okay. Dallas seems to get all these guys. Jerome Baker plays for Miami. Malik Jefferson, he's had his issues. But the one that went right before Juwan Bentley is Fred Warner. Okay. And that's all you got to say. Fred Warner may be one of the best. Is there a better off-ball linebacker in football right now than Fred Warner?
But Chris, we wouldn't have taken him because he's undersized.
Mm-hmm. And then just go to 2020 with Malik Harrison out of Ohio State. He went in the 3rd round, mind you. Okay, to Baltimore, who are inside linebacker factories. So look, we had to go back. We had to go back and look at this thing because when everybody keeps talking about how bad the talent is, and the problem is it was there, and we talked about this last week, Mark. He's never been able to do this. Like, he's been bad. Okay, I'll give you a lineman, interior lineman, defensive line, okay. But when it comes to the skill stuff, when it comes to the game progressing and evolving, he hasn't done it. He hasn't evolved with it. I mean, how do you defend those picks?
But Chris, what you just went through that draft with Wynn and Sonny Michel, if you go through like his drafts over the last like 8 years or 9 years, that's every draft is like that, Chris. Maybe one guy hits, and the other 6 or 7 aren't even on the team. So you wonder why this team has such a lack of talent. If you can't draft guys and have them be contributors, what the hell are you doing? Like, Mark, so that's why this team stinks.
2019, maybe the worst draft we ever had. You're talking N'Keal Harry, Juwan Williams, by the way, bust. Chase Winovich, bust. Damian Harrison, gone. Kajust, gone.
Bust.
Ford Holt, Jared Stidham, Byron Coward, Jake Bailey, Ken Webster. Not one of these guys. Am I missing something? Not one of these guys is on this team. That's only 3 years ago.
But how's that possible? That you had an entire draft from 3 years ago and not one guy's on your team.
Not one guy. Not one guy is on that team, Mark. It must be nuts to say nothing about the skill positions in 2020. You went defense. Duggar, Uche, Jennings. Okay. Asi, and Keene. Defend that, Mark. Defend those 2 picks.
It's not defendable. It's not defendable.
And those are in the 3rd round. This is not like a garbage 7th round pick. These are 3rd round picks. And he traded up. He traded up to get Dalton Keene, Mark.
Yeah.
Or Asi. Yeah. He traded up to get one of those.
He traded up to get one of them.
I traded up to get
one of them.
Pretty sure it was Keene.
I think it was Keene. No, it was Keene. But Chris, listen.
They're not even on teams. They're not even anywhere else in the league, Mark.
No. But Chris, you mentioned defense. He just did the same thing in the last draft. Defense.
Yeah.
When is he going to go offense? He doesn't do that. Hence why Brady left, and this team is in shambles because that side of the ball, Chris, is an afterthought for him. He doesn't value it. He's never valued it, but he just happened to have the greatest quarterback that's ever done it. So he got away with that, not valuing offense.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It just is. It is. And so you want to know why out there, you wonder why this team is in the shape they're in. You go back, pull their drafts. You can pull their drafts. You can pull their drafts when Belichick got here. When he first got here to now, you can pull the drafts. And I know he had guys working for him and helping him and all this stuff, but pull all the drafts and they're not good. And I know it's a crapshoot. I understand. But there's a reason. You can't tell me Baltimore is just keep money drafting. Newsom's great. This is why. That's why. He's money defensive linebacker after linebacker, and they just keep bringing them. Pittsburgh, same thing.
But you know what they do, Chris? They do what you said. What you said it about 3 weeks ago. They draft the linebacker. He develops for 4 or 5 years into an all-pro. He wants a huge contract. They let him go because their system is constantly bringing in another one to take his place. So they never have to spend big money because they constantly got a replacement that's just as good. And that's what you've been preaching.
Hey, listen, Mr. Kraft, if you put Mark and I in your draft room, you're never going to have to spend dust. You won't have to spend dust because we'll be sitting there picking. We'll keep guys into the pipeline, coming and coming and coming, and you won't need to spend any money when contracts are up. It won't have to happen, Mark. That's it. So we needed to go back and we need to talk about that. I'm glad we did and got that off our chest. So Weekly Rewind was presented by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. CorsoLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. Hey, when we come back, stick around. Don't go anywhere. Catone's Comments is next.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help.
Time for Catone's Comments!
So, it's that time of the year. Thanksgiving, other holidays are coming up in December, right? Depending on what you celebrate. So it's that time of the year. And with that time of the year, people travel. They travel, right? They get on planes. They travel. Listen, this Catone's comment is specifically for the people, the new people who are listening to us on 790 The Score. Listen, some of you other people on our podcast and on YouTube, you've heard me talk about this a little bit, but I have to bring this up. I have to, because not only is the day before Thanksgiving the biggest travel day of the year, I found out this week at work, I may have to go on a conference in January and get on a plane. Get on a plane. You know how much I hate, and Chris hates getting on planes. Let me ask you a question. How long does it take somebody to get on the plane, put their bag in the baggage area, and take a seat? Tell me how long that should take. 30 seconds? 40 seconds? Especially if I'm sitting in an aisle seat. They're walking towards me. They're banging into you. They're looking around. What are you looking for? What are you looking at? What's Michelangelo painting something? Is the Mona Lisa on the wall of the plane? What the hell are you looking at? You got a numbered seat. Number 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever it is. You got a numbered seat. Go to your seat. Open up the overhead compartment. Put your bag in. Shut it. Sit down. Nope. They're looking around. They're looking. Then they open up the overhead compartment. They open it up and close it to make sure it's working. What? Are you kidding me? Are you really kidding me? Really? Really? Then they put it in. Then they fall over. They elbow you. They sit on you. They spit on you while they're trying to sit out. Right? And then they finally take their seat. 10 minutes later, it's a 30-second process, folks. 30 seconds. 10 minutes later, now they sit down. Wait, now that's the father. Now the mother comes. She's got 2 kids with her. They're gonna do the same thing. And then they're gonna sit behind you. You get up and then you get up in the air, and little Jimmy behind you's kneeing you and kicking you, and he's throwing candy over the seat. And his mother's saying, "Oh, you're so cute, Jimmy." No, you're not cute. He's giving me I got whiplash. I need to call Corso because I got whiplash. And she's saying, little Jimmy's so cute. No. This called etiquette on a plane. It's etiquette. Tell the kid to sit down, stick a chocolate bar in his mouth, let him read a book. I don't know. Do something with him, please. It's just, I can't. This is the craziness that happens when you get on a plane. I just don't understand it. I don't want to fly. I don't want to go on a conference. I don't want to go anywhere. If I can't drive in a car, and you know what I think about driving, but I don't want to get on a plane. It starts from the moment you sit on the plane. Then they come in and they sit next to you. And they want to start a conversation. Oh, what's your name? Where you from? Listen, honey, I don't want to talk. I want to close my eyes and just sit and take until we land. Wake up when we land. I don't want to talk to anybody. Then they take their shoes off, their socks. They're playing with their toenails. What the hell is wrong with these people? They got their feet on the filthy, dirty plane, on the rug. Are you kidding me? You're going to end up with some kind of fungus. Your toes are going to fall off when you get off the plane, for Christ's sake. And lastly, you get on the plane, and then it starts. It starts. Coughing, spitting. I don't know what the hell they're doing. It's like all of a sudden they got on a plane and they got pneumonia. Stay home. If you don't feel good, stay home. Why are you getting on the plane? You're sick. Who's coughing? Who's sneezing? Who's rubbing their eyes? Something's leaking out of their nose? I don't know. I don't understand it. There is nothing worse than having to get on a plane and fly. And I know for a fact that I'm only scratching the surface because Chris could tell you 1,001 stories about his adventures on a plane. But I had to bring this up because the day before Thanksgiving is the busiest travel day of the year. And you know what? I wouldn't travel on a plane this time of the year if you gave me $1 million, Chris. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me.
It's the holiday season.
Chris, I had to bring it up because everybody's talking about travel right now.
Give little Jim your strawberry milk.
This is what you don't want.
What you give him?
You don't want. You don't want the turkeys.
Listen.
You know, Joe. Oh man, look. We don't have enough time. I mean, we don't have enough time.
We're gonna have to make a new segment for your endeavors on the airplane.
He's right, though. I mean, he's dead right. What is wrong with you people? Like, honestly, what the hell? What the hell's the matter with? No, and you know what? You're all you people listening. Nobody's. Nobody's absolved from this. You're all. What's the matter with you?
Call in. Tell us what's wrong with you.
Yeah. Email us, call us. Tell me what the hell is going through your mind. What's making you people behave this way? Where you think you're in your own living room. I mean, I can't listen. If this is the way people are behaving on a plane, what do you think they're doing in their house?
Yeah.
They must be hanging from the ceilings. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, people are dropping things, peanuts, spitting, they're licking their. I had a lady sitting next to me eating peanuts. I was texting you guys while this was going on. And I'm kind of a germ person. I don't want to touch any. Before COVID, I don't want to go, don't touch me, So this lady's eating peanuts, Mark. And she's like making love to them. She's got her whole hand. How you could put your entire hand in that little tiny bag, I don't know. And she's licking her fingers like it's like she's eating these things like she's going to the chair. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, when I'm looking at her and I'm texting, I'm like, if she touches me right now, they're gonna arrest me. They're gonna take me off. They're gonna land at the next airport and they're gonna put me in a dungeon forever because I can't deal with it. Mark's on a plane once, okay? And he's coming back from Vegas. And got his brains kicked in, of course, gambling over there. And there's a lady sitting next door and it's dark out. Correct me if I'm screw up this kind. The lady starts, the lights all go out, they dim the lights, plane takes off. He doesn't want to hear it,
Let's preface this by saying we were delayed for like 2 hours. I'm sitting on a runway. Let's just preface it that I was very aggravated at this point.
Finish the story. What did you do to this lady? Listen.
Look,
I know this has nothing to do with sports. I know, but it's perfect for this time of year. It's perfect.
We're on the plane. We had thunderstorms. We've been delayed. We get in an airport. We get on a different connecting flights, all this stuff, right? So now we're delayed another hour on the runway. Finally, we're taking off. They say, okay, lights off, seatbelts on, blah, blah. We're going to take off. Okay. Everybody shuts their lights. I got a lady next to me. She's reading a book. I said, well, The lights on. They say again, all lights off. She's reading poetry. She's reading poetry to the person next to her. I don't know who the person next to her, but
loud.
she's reading it out loud, the poetry, right? So now I'm sitting in a chair. I said, yep, 1, 2. I count to 3. Bing! I shut the light off.
Her light. You shut her light off.
I shut her light. Absolutely, I did. She looked at me, didn't say a word. She puts it back on, and she continues to read the poetry. And then I looked at her, and I very nicely said, nah, lights are off. We're taking off. Lights off. Ding! I shut it off. Right? So now at this point, the lady's going to think I'm crazy. She looks at me, and she put her book away. Very huffy, put her book away. And I said, beautiful, beautiful. I told her, take a nap. Take a nap. Go to sleep. I said, really? You've been delayed for 3 hours. You want to read poetry and not turn your light off.
One of these days, when it's a slow sports week, we'll do a show on this kind of thing, and we'll hear from you people out there, and you tell us your worst plane story, because the stuff we're telling you, you can't script it. Joe, you're in the Hollywood. You were in Hollywood. You can't script this stuff. The stuff that happens to me on a plane.
Producers would be like, "No, this isn't believable." We got
the stuff that happened, and we're over. But the stuff that happens on a plane to me, when I came to Boston to see you a month ago,
Listen,
to go to the Philadelphia Eagles game, and that they wanted to keep us on the runway for 3 hours in Mansfield to go to Boston. And we had a window of like 10 minutes to get off the ground, but nobody was sitting. But this lady was in the bathroom. This old lady was in the bathroom sitting. She wouldn't sit down. And so I hear over the thing, we got one up, and we can't take off, or else we're going to 3 hours. The bathroom door opens, and I yelled back at her. I turned back, and I said, sit down. There was an open seat right there. I go, sit right down, right there. She's like, what do you mean? Sit. I said, sit right now. Sit.
Meanwhile, but while that's happening, Joe, he's in the air because I'm supposed to be picking him up from the airport,
and we're supposed to be at the casino. Like, I got things to do.
Wait a minute. Now, because he don't know where the flight's landing, he says, find me a rent-a-car, call Hertz, this, that. He's got me on the phone. Get me something because I'm getting off the plane and I'm getting a car. I'll drive. I'm not waiting. He was like an animal, Joe.
So the moral of the story is, don't go anywhere. Stay home.
Don't do drugs.
Stay home and have your turkey and have your stuffing and stuff your face and fall asleep on the couch watching football. Period.
Anything but getting on a plane. I feel bad for those poor people. And I realize people have to travel. You got family that live out of state and relatives and friends. I get that.
I have no understanding.
I sympathize for them, but Jesus. You know what I think I'm going to do? And I know we're way over. I'm not opening up Catone's driving school. I'm opening up Catone's plane etiquette school. It'll abut the driving school. I'll open 2.
Catone's travel concepts. That's it.
Joe, I like that idea, Joe.
I hate it. I hate the whole thing. From the moment you take your suitcase out of the closet, I hate it. Traveling. So stay off the plane. I don't want to go anywhere. You understand? You have understanding? I don't. I hate everyone. So Catone's Comments was presented by Corso and Catone. Obviously, 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. This is the stuff you get. So tune in, make sure. And when we come back, we're going to hear from one of you in the nation. Hopefully it's not about planes and Heated Hotline. Stick around.
Mark, I'm serious. I think I lost my mind.
Certainly, it was an exciting show.
I want Murray. That's
crap
it.
What is wrong with you?
Get him on this damn show.
You lost your mind tonight.
That's all I have to say.
Lost your mind.
What are you writing now?
So I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
That's why we are the real deal New England feel. It's going to be real.
Really, we really are the real deal. I mean, there are people I meet out here, Mark, in Arizona. I'm in Arizona for people who don't understand. And they never met anyone like us, like me. They look at me like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, well,
Chris,
because
listen,
this is where I'm from.
Joe and I are normal compared to you. We're normal compared to you. Listen.
I think someday I would like.
I lived in Hollywood by the way.
Oh,
So-
there we go. There we go, Joe.
There's a place I could never live. Talk about
No.
where's Waldo,
Yeah.
you know? So
That explains a lot, Joe.
it really
That
does.
explains a lot that you
It
lived
really
up there.
does. So speaking of people, let's hear from one of you in Heated Hotline, Joe.
Hey, it's Tony from New Jersey. The Friars look pretty good this year, not like Cooley's bullshit offense. What's you guys' prediction for the rest of the season?
Well, I missed it was
Tony
quick. What was
Jersey?
Tony from Jersey? And
Tony?
he's bringing up Providence College, PC Friars, Mark, and hey, listen, I'm Joe. I'm glad you chose that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, he chose that for a reason, I think, because starting now, we're going to be having our PC Friar minute. You know, I don't know about every week, but we're going to be doing it often. And no better person to do it than our resident PC Friar alumnus. Is it alumnus? Is that how you say it?
Alumnus,
alumnus,
something
whatever.
like
he
that.
went to
Yeah.
school there.
Yeah,
at
I went to
Providence
school there.
College. So,
Listen,
Mark,
oh,
how's this team going to be? I saw the other game. I mean, if it looked like Friday night fights, though.
well, it
the
did
one
look like
game-
Friday night fights. Friday night they played Kansas State at the end of the game. They went to overtime, and the player from Kansas State punched the freshman Dual under the chin, and he rightfully so responded. But it was like Friday night fights. So, Chris, PC this
They
year.
followed up with Georgia, a good win against
They
Georgia.
did, and they had a good win. And listen, PC, Chris, new coach, Kim English, for those people who don't know, right? Replaced Ed Cooley, who leaves to go to Georgetown. The Big East is going to be one of the best conferences in America. So you're going to have to play. It's going to be a battle every night. You got guys like Rick Pitino now coming into the conference. I mean, Kim English from Providence is a great coach. You got the coach of Connecticut, Hurley. You got Shaka Smart at Marquette. The Big East, Chris, has the best coaches and the best basketball teams, top to bottom in the country, in my opinion. And Creighton, where your son may be going to, pre-med school. They got a great program over there with the coach McDermott. So PC, Chris, has a good combination of guys returning, and the new coach did a good job of keeping the guys cool he already had there. And he brought in some transfers. He brought in some guys from where he coached at George Mason. Three guys that are going to be three guys will be key to PC season will be the center, Josh Adoro, because they don't have a lot of depth at center. So he's going to have to dominate when he's in there, and he's been doing so. Bryce Hopkins, preseason first team All Big East forward. He's going to be a dominant force. He's going to have to be. Didn't play well against Kansas State. That's why they lost. And the kid Carter, the other guard, is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Those three guys, Chris, are going to have to dominate. And then you're going to have to infuse some other pieces like Jaden Pierre and the freshman Dual. But PC, Chris, I think is going to the caller's point, plays a different offense. Cooley played a weave offense from like the 1980s. It was Boston College's old offense when Al Skinner was the coach at Boston College in the 80s. For those of you that go that far back. But he runs, that's what Cooley runs, is a version of that offense. Kim English is more today's day and age, modern coach, right? Bill Belichick, modern coach, modern. He spaces the floor. They play defense. They do things the right way on offense. I think it's more player friendly. My prediction on the season, Chris, PC will finish 4th or 5th in the Big East. They'll make the NCAA tournament because the conference is probably going to get 6 bids out of that conference. They'll make the tournament. Whether or not they can progress and really mature later in the season and make a run in the tournament, we'll see. We'll make our predictions as it gets closer. But I do think my prediction is, Chris, they make the tournament. They finish 4th or 5th in a tough conference. And my other prediction, which is going to kill me because I do not like the coach. He was at URI. I hate him.
Yeah.
Danny Hurley. UConn, if they stay healthy, I bet you they repeat as national champions.
Do you think that defensively they can inch up a little better than 4th? You think they can bring it on defense? This team.
They can, Chris. The only thing that concerns me is they don't have the bodies, the depth in the underneath. They don't have as many protection. The rim protection. They got the starter, and then they got a guy that backs them up that's kind of skinny, a little lean. He can block shots, but UConn's got like 3 7-footers you got these teams that just got these massive guys under the basket. That's a good point. A rim protector, right? They don't have a depth there. They got one rim protector. So it's going to be interesting.
So you see UConn winning that conference, and where's Creighton going to fit in? Right there.
I think Creighton's going to be top three. The top three teams in that conference are going to be UConn, Creighton, and Marquette. They'll be top three. But I do think PC can finish fourth or fifth. And then if you do that, you make the tournament.
Well, Tony, we're going to be paying attention to that all year long. And, Tony, we appreciate that call. And, of course,
he didn't sound like, Chris, he was a Cooley fan, by the way, did he?
No, he did not. He's happy with that change. Evidently.
Yes, he is.
Yes, so, and I know a lot of people were mocked. You talked about this on the show last season when the season ended and the tournament ended. And I made the comment, hey, they get rid of an icon or whatever. And you're like, I'm not sure if he's really that. So, we'll see what happens. We have, again, our resident alumnus Mark here from Providence College. So we'll be covering them throughout the whole season and into the tournament. So Heated Hotline was presented by Corso Law Group, CorsoLawGroup.com. Hey, we come back. Want to welcome in the Pats Nation. Going to go over that Giants game and more coming up.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. Whether it's a traffic ticket or more serious issue, talk with these expert attorneys. CorsoLawGroup.com.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, your guides to holiday travel and travel throughout the greater United States area is Mark and I, and of course, Joe. But what we do want to do is we want to welcome in the Pats Nation so we can go over that Giants game, Joe. $1 p.m. Eastern, the Patriots travel to New York or the Meadowlands to take on the Giants. 1 p.m. Eastern, as I said, kicking off with back at it, Mark. Back at it, right? Get back on that horse, Patriots. Get right back up on that horse, 2-8. They take their 2-8 record in there to take on Mr. DeVito and company. Sounds like Tony from Jersey may be a DeVito fan.
DeVito family, yeah, maybe.
He may be a DeVito fan.
Chris, the big question this week is who's going to be the starting quarterback?
Well, that's why you're here, Mark. Enlighten us.
Thanks. Well, of course they're saying it'll be a game time decision, right? They're going to see how it plays out in practice and all that. You know that, right?
Not a ringing endorsement for anybody, is there?
Not a ringing endorsement for anybody. I have a funny, sneaky suspicion, Chris. That is as much of a beating as he's taken. I think they're going to stop Mac Jones. I really do. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I just think...
Because the other guys suck. That's why. Because they suck worse than Mac Jones.
No, but, if you want to put it that bluntly, I think O'Brien does think he thinks Zappe stinks, right? So I think it's going to take a lot to convince O'Brien, listen, Zappe gives us a better chance to win. As bad as Jones is, I think Zappe's worse. The only reason you make the change at this point, Chris, is just for the mental aspect of maybe the team gets a mental spot because it's not Jones and it's a different guy behind center. But I honestly think they'll give Mac Jones the first quarter, Chris. I don't think they'll wait as long as they've waited in other games. I think he gets the first quarter. If he struggles, I think it's a quick pull. They'll have a quick hook on him, and they'll bring in Zappe. But I do think Jones is going to start. I really do. What do you think?
I do too, because there's just no other option. I mean, look, if either one of those guys were ready to go and were any good, they'd be playing already. Because that's how bad Mac Jones has been. I mean, he has good throw moments, Jones, but just not enough of them. And that Indianapolis throw, that interception that you broke down in that game, that may have been the last straw. But I honestly, when you look down the lineup, I mean, Zappe came in and he was horrible. So, I mean, I'm looking for the draft pick. So,
they're really smart. Kraft will go in there with a bag of money and leave it in Aaron Rodgers' locker on his way out.
Yeah.
For
Merry
next year.
Christmas. Come on over.
Merry Christmas, right?
You know?
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
But,
So
Mark,
Chris,
but when you look at this game, okay.
Yep.
So look, I mean, you and I are of the opinion we want the draft pick, but okay, we're playing. So to win this game, what do they have to do?
listen, same formula.
They
that I've
scored
been
31
preaching.
points, by the way. But go ahead.
Listen, same formula that I've been preaching week after week. They finally did it against Indianapolis, Chris. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. I'm going to sound like a broken record. Elliott should touch the ball 15, 20 times. Stevenson should run the ball 15, 20 times. Let him run it, Chris, 40 times. If your offensive line can pound them, and I think you can. I think you can run the ball on the Giants. The Giants will get a good pass rush, but I think we can run the ball, Chris, and then play action and play action and play. Put them under center. Put them under center. Play action. Run the ball. Do all the things that we need to do. And I'm going to say this, Chris. You were the one. You were coming. You were going crazy last night. You called me. You said, Mark, these teams are running the ball without a tight end, by the way. There's no tight ends on the field. And these teams are running the football. Yeah.
Philadelphia was in 10 personnel the whole night because their two tight ends got hurt. They were playing 4 receivers, 1 running back. That's 10. All night long, and they ran the hell out of the ball last night.
So I don't know what the 12 personnel package is all about, except it's admitting your receivers stink, right? But Chris, I think offensively, if you do that, and then you play action a little bit, and maybe you loosen the Giants up a little bit, now you gotta really be intentional about getting Douglas involved in the game. Yeah. And they still, Chris, have not. I still don't believe, and correct me if I'm wrong. You think I'm wrong, Chris. I still don't think they have used Douglas as much as they should. They should be doing with Douglas what Miami does with Tyreek Hill. They should be finding ways to get him the ball on bubble screens, on sweeps, on line him up in the backfield. Whatever you can do to get the ball in that kid's hand, you should be doing. And they're not doing it, Chris. They do a little bit, and then they back off.
They can go back. They can go back to staples. They can go back to staples of their old offense, of this Billy O offense, when you were getting tight ends open down the seam like Gronk, and you were running that. You were running those little trap fakes where you're pulling the guard, because anytime a guard pulls, you think it's a run, right? Well, the Patriots made it under center with Brady. They made it famous. They pull a guard, play action, and Gronk would be running up the seam, especially when you saw cover 2 with 2 safeties up there. But they could be doing things like, Mark, you say, to get Pop Douglas open. I mean, you line them up in the slot and you go empty. If you go empty and you got 2 receivers to one side, 3 on the other real quick, and you got Pop Douglas as the number 3, the most inside receiver on the one side, if you catch him in cover 2, you can run 2 smash. You can run off the in other words, you run off the corner, you run off the safety that's covering the number 2, and Pop Douglas, all he's got to do is read his linebacker and safety, and it's an inside or an outside route. It's a whip route to the outside, or get the leverage leaning and then go inside. They can get him open in space, is my point. It's not complicated to get this kid open, but they don't do it.
Yeah. And Chris, what you described about what they used to do with Gronk in the seam. Listen.
I mean, if you insist on running tight ends out there.
Listen, but listen, Gesicki and Henry are more than capable, I think, of running. Listen, they're not Gronk. Nobody's Gronk. But they're more than capable of running that route if it's the right
those cover 2 busters up the seam.
Yeah, absolutely they can run it.
I agree, but you got to do it from under center, and I agree with you, Mark. Play action stuff. And on defense, look, you got to be careful, because this team scored 4. Now, their defense, by the way, took the ball away from the Commanders 6 times last week. So you got to be careful. I mean, whoever playing quarterback, you got to be careful with the ball. You got to protect the ball on offense. But on defense, look, DeVito threw for 200 yards, 3 touchdowns last week. It's Barkley. That's your key this week. Barkley had a combined 140 or 40 or 50 yards. He had 80 yards rushing last week. He had 57 or 60 yards on 4 catches. He had 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, this is the kid you have to get under control.
Yeah.
If you can't control him with your front, if you can't control them running the ball and they get into play action, this is where you're going to see the deficiency at middle linebacker, like I talked about earlier in the show. This is where you will see it because they're going to force the Patriots to have to run to Barkley, to have to run to cover him out of the backfield. So the edges. And we don't have linebackers that can do it.
I was just going to say, who's going to cover him?
I don't know if Bentley's going to be playing. We're early in the week now, so we haven't seen the injury report yet. But I don't know if Bentley didn't play, right? He was on the injury report. So
yeah.
But even him on the field, you don't have anybody that's going to get to those edges. So defensively, little Belichick and Mayo better come up with something to be able to slide coverage over there and take care of Saquon Barkley out of the backfield, catching the ball and running the ball. But if you don't stop them on first down, even though the Giants stink too, okay, they obviously showed you. Now that's off 6 turnovers, but they'll put up the points, and you can't.
Yeah.
So defensively, you can't allow 10-play drives, 15-play drives. You just can't do it.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, though. Who on the Giants, though, offensively, they do have some receivers that can get open, too. I mean, we're talking about Barkley, but I know they got some injuries. They do got some injuries. They do in the secondary. I mean, at the wide receiver position, they do. You know who I hope plays Sunday?
Hyatt.
For the Giants, and I hope he lights the field up. I just pray he lights the field up just so I can say, look, what you could have had. But anyway.
Darius Slayton,
yeah, and he's one of the guys that's banged up. They got a few guys banged up, few guys. It's going to be an interesting game. I'll tell you that because everyone keeps saying, "Oh, well, the Giants." They keep saying, "Well, this is a winnable game." What game is winnable for us? Really?
That's the thing that pisses me off. There are no gimmies on this schedule. I mean, there are no gimmies. There are no games the Patriots should win. You're 2-8. I mean, you're the worst. You're the worst team in football, Carolina.
Teams are still, people are still talking about, well, we could still win 4 or 5 games. How?
I told you already. Joe, we'll bring the sheets out. Coming into the bye, we already talked about it. I had them at 3 wins. They're worse.
Yeah, they're worse.
So, Mark, it's 3.5 at this stage. It's Tuesday, but right now, but it's 3.5.
The Patriots are 3.5, correct?
They're getting 3.5. Yeah. Pats are getting 3.5.
They're getting 3.5. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go.
Yeah, you think we're favored?
No, I'm going to go 24, 20 Giants. 24-20 Giants.
I'm going to say 21-13 Giants. 21-13. The Patriots can't get out of their own way on offense. They're going to stop Mac Jones, and he's going to stink again. That's it. Yeah. And this little carousel of nonsense of benching, it will continue to go on. So tune in. Let's see. And then tune in to us the following week to see if we were right. So Pats Nation was presented by Corso and Catone. Saturdays, 12 to 1 p.m. every week. All of our shows are up. Make sure you tune in. The Real Deal, New England Feel. Hey, come back. Sunday Spread is next.
Mark, I'm serious. I think I lost my mind.
Certainly, it was an exciting show.
I want Murray. That's
crap?
it.
What is wrong?
Get him on this damn show.
You lost your mind tonight.
That's all I have to say.
Lost your mind.
What are you writing now?
So I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
That's why we are the Real Deal New England Feel. It's going to be real.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the Real Deal, New England Feel. All right, let's step up to the sports book, Mark. We did pretty good last week. I had a bit of a hiccup last week. So did you.
Yeah, well, so I did. I had a bit of a hiccup, but I am going to say this, Chris. I will say this. This is like 4 weeks in a row. I tell everybody, start your week on a
The
Saturday.
college, yeah. You've
I
been
gave you-
right on.
I gave him 2 winners last week. I said give the 10 points with Georgia and give the 1 point with Washington. Washington squeaked by. They won by 2, but they did cover.
You were
They
3 for 4. You
Yeah,
were 3 for
3
4. You had the
3
2
for 4.
college games, right? You
I
had Dallas,
had Dallas and I
you
lost
missed on Miami.
on Miami. And you like the Raiders plus the points.
Yeah, I had the
way.
Raiders. I had Houston.
You
But
did.
what I actually did was I said, okay, here's what I would do. I had a tease. I said, take Dallas, take Miami, and was it Baltimore? Take all those points and drop them down, and then you would have won. So Mark, this week,
So
give
this
these
week,
people
Chris,
on this
so
nice
this
holiday
week-
season, give them enough money where they can travel. They can get on a plane and they can do
Well,
all the things
I
that
don't
you
know
don't
about
like
I
doing.
don't know about traveling, but so Chris, so this week I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals. You're going to laugh at me. I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals.
I have them too.
I'm going to take Arizona at home getting a point because I think Kyler Murray is playing well. Okay, I think he's playing well. And I think that they're going to win a game. They're going to win. They should have won last week. They're going to win. And I'm going to tell you what else I like, Chris. You're going to laugh at me. I like at home. I like Vegas getting 9 from Kansas City because Kansas City, Chris, every week I keep saying to myself, how the heck is this team 7-3? Like
You took all my picks.
I don't know how they're 9-point favorites, Chris. I really don't. And I never picked 3.
Don't take all 3 of mine. You're going to sweep my whole board.
I never picked 3, but I'm going to go with 3 this week. I'm going with 3. Philadelphia at home is going to wipe the floor with Buffalo because Buffalo is the most overrated team in football. They're going to get smoked in Philadelphia. Smoked.
Okay, so for me, he took my 2. He took my first 2 locks. We're going to be Arizona. I swear to God. Okay, right here.
Really?
I got it right here. I got it right on my sheet. Look.
Wow.
Arizona,
I like that.
You can't see that on 790. But
great minds think alike.
I see that. I like Arizona and I like Vegas. I've liked Vegas though every week. You loved Miami last week with the points. I said, no, this guy Pierce has got them believing they're better than they are. So 9.5 is a lot of points. And Kansas City, man, you take them on the road. You take them out of Arrowhead. They're a different team, Mark. They're a much different team out of Arrowhead. I want to see them go on the road. I want to see them go on the road in the playoffs and have to win. I'm not putting him in the same category as Brady probably ever, but until you show me, Mahomes, that you can go on the road and you can win a playoff game, because he hasn't done it yet. Not his fault, but he hasn't had to do it. No. So I like Vegas too. And I like Baltimore on the road at the Chargers. I think the Chargers are a mess. I think they're the most talented team that stinks. Does that make sense?
Yep. Listen, that could be a destination for Belichick, Chris.
I agree. That's the one. Everybody says Washington. I think if he goes anywhere, it's going to be a ready-made.
Yeah.
This is why I'm going to be sad. You understand? This is why Kraft's going to have egg on his face. Let me shut up about all that. Because he's going to go win a Super Bowl in the Chargers. And Brady and Belichick would have won Super Bowls. Please. Anyway, take Baltimore, giving up 4 at the Chargers. They will cover, and I don't think it's going to be close. I think Baltimore is one of those teams this year. So make some money, and remember what I told you. Bet because you want to, not because you need to. Right, Mark?
That's right, Chris. Listen, you good advice. Good advice.
And listen, I know you're going to be listening after the fact, but I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving and you're happy and thankful for everything in your life, your family, your friends. You're all safe, happy, and stuffed from all the food. Right, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely stuffed. Eat yourself into oblivion and then go on the couch, unbutton your pants, and watch football. Right? Come on.
And so, gentlemen, Joe, you also have a wonderful holiday. Mark, you do the same.
You guys.
Everyone out there, do the same. Corso and Catone was presented by Corso Law Group, corsolawgroup.com. Hey, get on, watch. All our shows are up for you to listen on YouTube, 790, any outlet. Make sure you subscribe, give us that thumbs up, get our notifications, and come back next week, noon Eastern. We will talk the New York Giants recap. Pats will host the Chargers. We're going to talk about that. Celtics, Catone's comments, Sunday spread, PC Fryer minute. Anything you bring to the table, we will be ready. We are Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. Happy Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble.
Now find Corso and Catone on AM 790, The Score, iHeartRadio, iTunes, wherever you podcast. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel and catch the chaos every Saturday at noon.